Welcome everybody to the July Panvala Town Hall. It doesn't feel like the year has gone by so quickly, but it is July. We are halfway in. Hope everyone who celebrates Independence Day had a happy July 4th with lots of fireworks and hopefully not too many, fires started by fireworks. Hope everybody had a good time. To get this call started, we'll start with a quick round of short introductions. You can just say who you are and what community you're part of, especially if it's part of Panvala, and then how you spent your weekend. I will start. Again, my name's Nira and I'm the founder of Panvala. I'm also in a couple of member communities like Metacartel, Gitcoin, etc. I spent my weekend, I did a little bit of work, but I also, like my neighborhood has a July 4th parade that they did. So got to do all that. Saw a lot of happy smiling kids waving little flags. It was adorable. That was a good time. And I guess I will call on somebody else. How about Kyle?
Hey everyone. Is my video showing? Is it?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Anyways, yeah. So on the weekend, I packed up my apartment in Nashville, and I'm heading out to Vancouver for a few months. So that kept me busy. And right now I'm in Denver at a makerspace, Bloxels makerspace, and I'll be explaining Cheerbot later. But we're collabing on a project for MCon 2. And yeah, 4th of July, a lot of fireworks around where we are right now. So watched some fireworks and yeah, had a good time. Oh yeah. So I'm with Cheerbot. I'm in Cheerbot, which is a Panvala member. I am also representative now for Lexstyle. Panvala member, been for a long time, and I also am the representative for Web3 Music Coalition, and Web3 Music Coalition is having the traditional music industry integrate with Web3 music, so especially on the NFT level. And I just got off a call with an Italian lawyer who wants to join the coalition, so that seems to be doing well also. Okay, Alex?
Hey everybody, my name is Alex Corin. I'm one of the co-founders at Regen CLT, the Regenerative Community Land Trust. This weekend for me, I actually was doing some chainsaw tree work, prepping some land that we have that we're going to start building on soon. So that's exciting and tiring. And then had a fun day moving the home office into a different room because we have a new roommate moving into the house. So a very productive weekend for me. And yeah, excited to be on this call. And I will pass it over to Ripley.
Hey, I'm Ripley. I'm in Generous AF Foundation. Getting ready to make some stamps. So I'll talk more about that later. Not today, but another time. This weekend, I got a lot of well-needed sleep in and watched a lot of TV. So it's a nice rested weekend. I did watch some fireworks, but pretty chill. And I will pass it to Elijah.
Thank you. Yeah, so my name is Elijah. I am a molecular biologist turned DSci-DGen. I am a co-founder of Cannabis Genome DAO. And so we are essentially empowering cannabis researchers, cultivators, consumers to share their data, incentivize their data through open source data marketplaces. And to incentivize the access to information, access to funding for cannabis research, and basically, yeah, that's kind of what we're doing over there. So I will pass this to, I don't want to mispronounce her name, but Adogi? Please correct me.
Yeah, hi everyone. I'm David Adoge, and I'm a representative for People's Cooperative, which is part of Panvala. Also work as Panvala friend. So last week, my weekend was good. I had a lot of cool weather, especially now it's raining in Africa. Thank you.
Awesome. How about Jovian?
Hey, what's up? My name is Jovian. I'm the founder of Social Tech Labs. We do research on the future of work. It's social-based research, so social technology is the technology of human behavior. We're doing our first study and it's coming out in September. So that study was on DAO contributors. And I've also been around Panvala for about a year and a half, I think, doing some community building here. So it's really nice to meet all of you.
How about MC? We're doing a quick round of introductions. You can just tell us who you are, what communities you're part of that are in Panvala or outside of Panvala, and then what you did with your weekend.
Hi, for sure. This is actually really interesting because I just got this notification that this was going on like 2 seconds ago, and I thought it was a really cool idea to jump in on. So I am part of DeSci World, which operates in the DeSci space. We are a collective trying to basically bridge the gap or facilitate the onboarding of both scientists and non-scientists into the decentralized science space. So we currently have, as one of our products, a dashboard listing or a dashboard where anybody in the DeSci space, any protocol or project can come and list themselves, and kind of trying to make a one-stop shop where anybody can look for and filter through projects that pique their interest or of their interest, and they can go straight to those communities. We have a few other things that we're also working on, but that's the main product that we're currently in the process of fleshing out and have built up. I'm glad to be here. I'm glad to learn more about Panvala. My weekend, interestingly, on a personal, has been very busy. Where I'm located here in Canada was Carnival weekend. So I'm my family's from the Caribbean. It's a big thing for us. So I had a very eventful weekend.
Awesome. How about Drew? No pressure, but if you're around and want to give a quick intro, feel free to go for it. And I also might be mispronouncing your name, but if you want to give a quick intro, Drew, feel free. And if
sorry, I was had to go outside. So yeah, my name is Dhruv. I joined this group thanks to another friend, Kyle, who is from LexDAO. So my background is as a Web3 developer, and also have been participating in Web3 community actively in groups like Kernel Block 3, and have been incubating projects in the space by participating in hackathons like ETH Global and helping out startups to get their MVPs as fast as possible, and trying to do matchmaking with layer 2 or other EVM blockchain ecosystems. So yeah, that's from me, my side. And I'm from Paris. Thank you.
Awesome, thanks for coming. Humpty, we're doing a quick round of intros, just a little bit about you, any communities that you're from, and then anything exciting you did with your weekend.
Good morning. Just waking up right now. It was a fantastic evening, spending time with family and friends. I'm Humpty Calderon. I am a contributor to a few Web3 projects, in the space of decentralized identity and reputation, ontology, Orange Protocol, and a wonderful podcast called Crypto Sapiens. And I'm excited to be here. This is my first town hall, so I'm excited to learn more about, the way that Panvala operates, and obviously very excited for a lot of the new initiatives that are being developed and launched at Panvala.
Awesome. Thanks for coming, everybody. So really quickly, again, Panvala is a network of communities. We're trying to help communities work together to drive more value into each of their budgets. Right now, we're at 83 communities and we're always growing. You can see some of the communities in the league in that image there. And any community that really raises funds from its members is the kind of community that we want to work with to help raise funds externally by collecting stamps, which we'll get more into coming up soon. For these town halls, we like to do community spotlights on member communities that are within the network. And today we have two community spotlights, one from Regen CLT and the other from, I believe, Cheerbot. Yes, the other from Cheerbot. So we'll start with Regen CLT. So Alex, feel free to take it away.
Awesome. Thank you, Neuron. And how much time do I have just to keep track?
Roughly 15 minutes, but don't feel pressure to use it all. Use whatever you want.
Okay, great. Well, so happy to be here today with you all. My name again is Alex Corin. I'm one of the co-founders of Regen CLT, which stands for Regenerative Community Land Trust. And I will assume most people are not well versed in what a community land trust is, so we'll just start there. But basically, most people have heard of a land trust, and that is very simply that a land or real estate asset is held in trust by a group for a given purpose. Oftentimes, we come across these conservation land trusts, which holds land for conservation purposes, which is great. The community land trust is a slightly different approach where this land acquired by a community land trust is used for a diversity of purposes to support the health of the community. So it could be a mix of conservation, but also it's a powerful tool for affordable housing, for protecting farmland, and all of these other really fundamental things that when we think about our communities and what a healthy, functioning, thriving community looks like, it comes down to the basics often: food, shelter, water, access to recreational open spaces. And so the community land trust model itself emerged in the 60s and 70s out of a mixture of the civil rights movement and also out of different indigenous wisdom traditions. And the founders of the movement started the first community land trust in Atlanta, Georgia, and it was a 5,000-acre farm that was going to be given to local rural Black farmers. So it has very radical roots. And since then, over the years, it has been recognized by the IRS here in the United States, which, is just further proves its legitimacy as an organizational entity type. And really what we've seen is that in the more recent years, it's become a really powerful tool by different governments and municipalities as an affordable housing mechanism. And so what we're doing with Regen CLT is we're taking this fundamental CLT governance structure, because governance structures do exist outside of Web3 world, and there are some really beautiful examples out there. And the CLT model has a really beautiful 3-part governance structure that is designed and has been practiced to balance the needs of these various stakeholders between general membership, actual leaseholders that hold to a portion of the land, whether it's a piece of farmland or a house or something like that. And then the last third is typically appointed experts. So that's the classic CLT model. At Regen CLT, we want to use this as one of the main components for creating a scalable framework for forming regenerative community land trusts bioregionally around the world. And we have come to use this model as a launching off point because it has so much success in the United States and in Europe. And it's just, when you look around and ask the question of how do you buy and acquire and hold land as a community, there aren't too many good answers out there, and this is one of the best. So the innovations that we've brought to this CLT structure, one of them is that we are weaving in these regenerative elements. So even though a community land trust is great socially and for communities, and some of them may have these ecological elements to them, there's nothing inherently in the CLT bylaws itself that would say that these regenerative practices need to be used. So we are forming legal templates and would love to connect further with the LexDAO people on this call. But part of what we're providing is these legal templates to almost, in a sense, form the minimum viable legal structure that is nation state interfacing, so that we can have these leaseholds and different agreements mostly happening empowered by these digital tools and digital communities. But we're weaving in the regenerative agriculture, permaculture, natural building, all of that generally encompassed by ecological design. So ecological design is one of the main pillars of what we're doing and what we're building. The next big pillar is, of course, the CLT model itself that we're using as a launching point, that three-part or tripartite board structure that is really, we think is beautiful. So we're taking that as the starting point and innovating from there. And then, of course, the third pillar to what we're doing is appropriate use of Web3 technology, because we really see that so many of these tools are for coordination. And at the end of the day, when it comes to having people come together and manage physical commons effectively as a community, it takes coordination tools. And part of our thesis is that a lot of the CLT model and a lot of existing organizations like that are kind of stuck in old school nonprofit world, you know, with documents sitting in a filing cabinet and in-person board meetings where people are raising hands to vote. And there's nothing inherently wrong with that. But we think that in order to scale these solutions, we need to incorporate these technological solutions in order to make it all work effectively. And so on our website, there's a lot more information about the process, but basically we're almost here as an organization to help push communities over the edge. So communities that already have some ideas about acquiring land, whether it's farmland or for housing, or ideally a mix of both, and have some sense of organization already, we can step in as Regen CLT and help structure it. So say, hey, these are the different legal templates that we can use, and the way that these leaseholds can be administered to people, because the land is always held by this bioregional trust entity, but it's allocated to people that apply to use it, typically in 99-year renewable leases. And so this is a fundamentally different model for land access and land tenure, because at the end of the day, the private speculative land market is one of the core problems facing society. You know, it's something that easily goes in the background, and here in the US and really in the industrialized Western world, it's the norm, right? We don't think much about it. It's like, oh, of course, that's how you build generational wealth. You acquire land, you speculate, even if you're not living in that house, you buy it, you rent it. But that creates a lot of problems. It creates affordable housing problems. It creates farmland not being approachable or accessible to farmers, especially young farmers that want to get into it. Even business locations, you know, it becomes reserved for these bigger corporations because local entrepreneurs may not have what it takes to compete in that speculative market for that downtown Main Street real estate. So by putting this land into trust, it fundamentally says that, hey, this is a community asset now, and it's taken out of the speculative market. So whether that land is identified for recreation space, for agricultural space, for business, for whatever it might be, there's a local community there that is making that decision, that says this is how we see this land should be used. And so if it is a piece of farmland, it could prevent it from being turned into a strip mall. And it could be reserved, and there could be affordability mechanisms baked into it so that it remains affordable for generations to come. So these are really perpetual stewardship entities. And we're structuring it where from bioregion to bioregion, we can replicate it. And each place can have this custom, place-based tailored flavor to it. Because we're not trying to implement a solution from the top down. We're trying to take these patterns, these principles and patterns that can be replicated anywhere, but in their unique place-based way. And so there are a couple initiatives that we have voted on as a community at this point that are currently in the assessment phase, as we like to call it. And that is basically saying that an initiative proposal has come forward, and both of these are listed on our website. There's currently a proposal for the western slope of Colorado, and that is a mix of housing, business, and just a community event space. And then there's another initiative similar, but a little different in Puerto Rico. And that initiative is more for like a permaculture ecoversity with some housing as well. And so those are currently, we're in the process of working through the best actions to take to acquire the right piece of property and to raise the capital needed to do so. But if you're interested in getting involved and checking that out more, definitely look at the information on our website. And then apart from that, I'd say really with the Web3 component, we see that in, looking at the existing CLTs that are out there, one of the shortcomings that we had identified was that because they are very place-based and regionally specific, it was hard for these groups to attract a lot of interest from the outside. If you're on the other side of the world or even the other side of the state or the country, it's hard to feel that connection, and maybe you're less inclined to donate or give or support these regionally specific community land trusts. And so with the Regen CLT model, by connecting each of these bioregions into this global network and working towards having exchange between them of expertise, of resources, we're creating this movement that's bigger than any one region. And when we think of maybe these distributed, sovereign, bioregional economies and these resilient communities that are forming, what is the legal entity behind them? We propose that this Regen CLT model is basically acting as the land layer in the stack of different organizations and entities that any given place would have, because we're not the ones necessarily building the housing. We're not going to be the ones necessarily running the business or organizing the event that's happening on it ongoing. We're just trying to establish this baseline of a stewardship entity that then could be used as a launching point for all of these other community centric and ecological projects. And so connected to it is the whole world of carbon credits and the emerging eco-credit classes to measure things like biodiversity and groundwater recharge. For all of those projects, that those are impact projects. And so you could almost think of it like by putting the land into trust, it's creating impact security, because no matter what happens to the project itself, whether the funding disappears or whatever it might be, you can rest assured that that land that was acquired for that ecological project is held in trust. And like I said, these are perpetual entities. So we're trying to create it in a way, and I think that's the other beautiful component of Web3 technologies, that so much can just operate on chain and in the background, so that you don't need all these people constantly hands-on in order to keep the organization alive. We can create this thing that has some life of its own. So we see the Regen CLT model and the platform that we're working to build so that people can interact with these leaseholds and these agreements and vote on different things within their bioregional node. We see this as an essential component to part of this regenerative revolution that's happening in part of the regen refi space, really coming in as that land stewardship partner, which just further enables all these other amazing land-based projects to do the work that they want to do, trying to do, with a background entity that's connected globally to all these other places trying to do the same thing. So I think that brings me to time. I'll pause there and hand it back to you, Naran.
That's awesome. So really quick question before we move on. So is it accurate to kind of think of Regen CLT like anytime some community or some project wants to do something associated with land, it's like, hey, we need land to make our mission succeed. Rather than going off and doing that independently, the idea is that they make a proposal to Regen CLT so that even if their project like goes off in a different direction or like dissolves at some point, but the land itself that was part of that project ends up being consistently used for a community purpose.
Absolutely. And I think it helps for these organizations to like further align and further, put their money where their mouth is in the sense, because truly, if land acquisition is part of the project, then having that land held with a private LLC that's getting investor money, it just really starts mixing up the interests and could, even if the intentions are the best, it's once money and investors and all these other things into the equations, things get a little sticky. So we're not saying don't do that. We're saying just put the literal land piece, put that into trust, and then do the work on top. And so hopefully these organizations that are aligned and where the value of the land asset isn't part of their business model necessarily, or at least are open to having it be separate, can work with us to say, okay, how do we plug this land acquisition into this greater vision, connect globally with these other communities, but still create the opportunity for our project to do what we want to do.
That's awesome. Looking forward to seeing those two active proposals in Colorado and Puerto Rico succeed.
Yes, thank you.
All right, let me share my screen one more time. So next up on the community spotlight is Cheerbot.
Can I ask a question about the land trust?
Go for it.
Okay. Sorry, I didn't know if you could hear me. So my question, well, first of all, that's rad. And like, it really makes a lot of sense to have basically these projects that are supposed to be about community, to have them start with a different process. Like, if that's what their intention is, they should really be starting as community held land. So I'm really excited about it and learning about it through your presentation. I wanted to ask, so you mentioned earlier that you were working on the legal aspect, like having a legal, legal templates that would help people do the right steps in the right way to end up with the proper like entity like formed. Is that kind of where the product is right now? Is that like the mountain that you're climbing right now with your first couple of projects, like going through it yourselves?
Yeah, so this is naturally is a pretty big vision, big project. So we have a couple of mountains to climb right now, to be honest. But yeah. The legal templating is definitely one of the main pieces. Well, really one of the biggest hurdles that we faced thus far is capital that's aligned for getting these projects off the ground. Because you can imagine, with any regen project, there's what Neil Spackman calls the valley of death, where you need like a decade worth of capital to acquire the land, build the infrastructure, do these things, and it takes a lot. But then the reality is that if anyone were to just go out and try to form a CLT right now, there's great resources for learning about them, but then you go to like find a lawyer to incorporate and it's like crickets. So by creating this template, we hope to really create this, make that part easy, to lower the barrier for entry, because it's already hard enough to organize the humans to do these things and to bring the capital together. And so by having just a really simple, clean legal structure, we think that not only can that help form these communities more quickly, but also can be a great way so that when it is represented online and on chain, it's not like a 100-page legalese document. It's something that's more digestible and easy to read and interact with. So hopefully that answers your question. But yeah, we're actively working on it now, and we've gotten to a certain point where now we need to recruit more legal experts to help us basically get it over the edge, where we have all our ideas and we have our outline and our own bylaws and leaseholds to go off of. But to really make it that scalable templated version, we need to engage more with other lawyers at this time.
Great. Yeah, that does answer my question. I might have an introduction for you. One of my mentors is building a platform that creates templates and helps like protect people who are trying to do, complicated things with law, with legal. And he's building out all kinds of different scenarios. So I might have an introduction for you later. But thank you.
That would be great. Thank you. Yeah, and my email is just alex@regenclt.org for anybody who would like to connect. Thanks.
Awesome. Let's hand it over to Kyle from Cheerbot. Take it away.
Hey everyone. Yeah, and before I start with Cheerbot, Alex, LexDAO, there's definitely some interesting synergies we could explore. One is TaterDAO, which is real estate sub-DAO, LexDAO. And another one is CaliDAO, and that's legal wrappers for DAOs. And so this legal entity you're talking about is actually would be fun to explore. We do UNAs and series LLCs. So, and then there's the clinic, which is legal aid for impact DAOs, and that's what I run in LexDAO. And it's a student supervisor model, so it's one of the ways we keep costs down. And we work in public, so we take that Web3 dev philosophy and apply it to law. So it's also eventually will be more and more beneficial to self-learning for the public legal education as well. So yeah, definitely reach out to me. I sent you a DM. Yeah, looking forward to that chat. Okay, so now about Cheerbot. So Cheerbot is it's IRL toy robots for the Web3 smart home. So here's, so I can change put my screen around. How do I do that? Here we go. Yep. Okay. So here's some Cheerbots. It's a little bit bright. Okay. Yeah. So this is a toy robot, an actual toy robot, and it's got pixel art. And then here's another one. And this one, it's got speakers on the back, and then here's a mic, actually, just a USB connect and plug it in. And then it's a toy, so you can move it around. Yeah, anyway, I think you get the idea. And so really what we're doing here is Raspberry Pis are really powerful technology for what's happening on the blockchain, but there isn't that much of a connection between these two communities, what's called the makerspace community. So organizations like Adafruit or Maker Magazine, Pomeroni's another one, and then Raspberry Pi, yeah, definitely. They aren't really connected to Ethereum, but there's quite a bit of potential to do that. So we're going the route that has worked really well in NFTs, which is make fun products that people can just kind of enjoy and not have to think about it too much. And then that there's a certain subset of those people that are get naturally curious about it, and then start to be hobbyists about going into all this open source stuff. So these toys, you can open up the back, and there's a Raspberry Pi in there. You can actually take off the arm here and access the Raspberry Pi. See, oh, actually, I can't do that. It's screwed in. In any case, you can access the Raspberry Pi SD card really easily and put in a new SD card. And then that works really well. So it's open source, uses Linux, and it's Wi-Fi as well, and that works really well with Ethereum. That's an open API. And so one of the prototypes we have is that people use these when they're playing live shows for live streams. And then if somebody sends them a tip while they're playing the show, it has the ETH address go by, and I'll send you a couple of videos you can look at, but has the ETH address go by. It says, please send me tips. Someone sends them a tip. Then it's also checking to see if the tip happened, and it sees a tip happens. So it thanks that person, finds their ETH address, thanks them for the tip. And then it also looks in their wallet, because all this stuff is open ledger, looks at their wallet to see if they've got some pixel art. and then it will display that pixel art. So people can multicast. They can a live stream on Twitch, TikTok, all that at once, and they also keep all of the tip amount, which these platforms, they tend to have it so that if you use their system, you can only use their system. You can't use their neighbor's system at the same time, and then they also take sometimes like 40-60% of the tip for providing that service. Right now what we're doing is we're working with a company called Bloxel for MCON2, and they have these, which this is turned off right now, but it's each one of these is a pixel, and so this is just a very big version of what I shared in that other room. And we're planning for MCON2. We're going to have a 24 by 24, so it's going to be 12 foot, and it's going to be the this smaller one here. So it's going to have arms and it's going to be on wheels. And then it's since it's 24 by 24, it can display CryptoPunks and whatever else. And then depending on how well our campaign goes, we might also, Bloxel has floors. And so we might also have a 24 by 24 floor. We were just chatting about all this stuff last night, so we'll see what actually happens. But we're at the dreaming stage. Last night was a lot of fun. And then Bloxel, they've got 3D printers and all that. So these are the maker spaces that, that's the whole point of Cheerbot, trying to integrate these maker spaces with what's happening in Ethereum, and Bloxel is the first community that we're doing that with. And another exciting thing is, it's pretty fun. Slept on a treehouse last night. And so we're also, this campaign I just mentioned, it's through DAO House. They've got a Yeet thing, which is kind of like Kickstarter. So we're doing their Yeet, and it's a fairly new program. So we're one of the first organizations to go through it. And then as we're doing it, we're also connecting DAO House with Cali DAO. And so having Lex DAO, we'll see how that goes, but the potential of having these different DAOs collaborate and kind of be greater than the sum of the parts, that kind of thing. So yeah, we're just kind of in the middle of it, doing some pretty exciting stuff. Happy to answer questions, and I'll share some links so you can look at a more formal presentation about this. I'll share those right now. Oh yeah, and then if you would like to help, the most important thing is, so unfortunately, Adafruit is actually fairly, Naran found this out, but is fairly against crypto, and they've got this kind of declaration against crypto. Hopefully that changes over time, but what we know that there are people that are prejudiced about our space. And so luckily though, Maker Magazine that has hundreds of thousands of people that subscribe to their magazine, and they have maker spaces all around the world. They host events. They actually just came out with a coin, and the coin is more oriented towards loyalty programs, that kind of way of integrating with coins. But we're a contestant in their awards, and the awards go on, public voting goes on till the 15th. So I'm just going to share these links here, and that first link, maker.cheerbot.org. If you'd like to help us out, you can just go to their awards and vote for us, and that would be great. And then yeah, we're if things go well, we'll connect Maker Magazine with Ethereum. Oh yeah, and then this bot is, we've also got NFT integration. So this one's got an NFC baked in to it. So if you tap on it, it's read only, and it connects with the NFT. So when somebody sells the NFT, they also sell the bot, and then that's on chain. And so anyone can just tap this to see who actually owns the bot. And the NFT is yet to be made for this one, but this one, the NFT is made, and you can buy it right now. We're selling it on Doing Good, and this is the premium one. So this is like 1,500, but this one, the economy one, we're going to be able to sell for like probably $300. So yeah, hopefully everyone can access it. And one way to think of these is they're fun toys for the smart home, but we can also think of them as kind of like open source echoes that devs can then work on. So Dhruv, who's in this call, he helped us get a grant from the graph. And so these things can be edge sensors that then can be oracles for people's homes but that's in the future. And so right now I won't get too about pie and sky stuff. And I'm really inspired by what Metacartel does, where they fracture off different DAOs. So instead of trying to have this big DAO, it becomes different DAOs. So what happens in the future, if everything works out, we'll probably do that. It'll probably splinter off. But yeah, the core hope is that people start to understand how to work with Raspberry Pi and Web3 technology, so they can do a myriad of really interesting things with edge computing, including agriculture, distribute water. There's already soil moisture monitors, and basically what people what DAOs do well is just open the space for the community, give people enough context that they can kind of imagine what's possible, and then also give them the resources they need to actualize that. Thank you all for your time.
Really awesome stuff. Really love the angle on Make Magazine. Like I feel like the maker community is very primed to like be involved in crypto stuff, but also primed to be against it, as we noticed with that effort. So I like thinking of Maker Magazine as like a potential kind of sponsor that can mint stamps that are collected by people who do active work in the maker community is literally the kind of thing that we want to help put together. So Kyle, if you actually know anybody who is involved with the currency that they put together, I would any sort of connections you can make, help us create those stamps that then your community can collect to fund what's going on with your community. So definitely make that connection if you have one.
Yeah, I actually, a good step will be they've got a Discord, and I can't remember his name right now, but the main person there, he's on there and he's chatting, and I actually had a conversation with an engineer who was against crypto, and I explained my perspective, and the maker people were really interested in it. They turned off links, and then they were kind of chagrined because they went, this great chat that I couldn't send links to. So that's a comment. Oh, sorry, I can't get in more detail because of these links. They turned off links because they just realized they kind of lost out on that. So yeah, just the easy actionable is I'll share you their Discord, and then we can hang out in there and have a deep conversation. That'll be great. Thank you.
Sounds good. And then you're saying that basically there's going to be a giant version of a Cheerbot at MCon. That's what you're putting together? Yeah,
that's the plan. Yeah, and and so it's 24 pixels, but those pixels I showed you, they're each a full I think 6-inch block. So yeah, it's going to be a very 12 feet. I think is going to be the just the pixels alone. Because they're 24 by 24, for some reason, it's really annoying for hardware engineers, but for some reason, the pixel art community and NFT community decided that 24 was the pixel amount. So CryptoPunks and Crypto Skulls, a lot of those are 24. I think the newer ones are kind of doing 32, which will make our life easier. But for now, it's this awkward number that's not a power of 2. So yeah, but we'll have this Bloxel collab at MCon. It'll be 24 because they're what Bloxel does is they have these tiles that they use as pixels, so they can just put whatever number tiles they want. It doesn't have to be a circuit board like the Cheerbots are. So I'm excited, and these people are natural makers. So this is definitely the first maker community that really resonates with our community. They had a install. The way I met them is they had an installed ETH. So that Cheerbot that I shared, the larger one, this one right here, that was an installed ETH in the SolarPunk exhibit next to main stage, and then the Bloxel that's here. This one was an install in the kind of DJ hangout lounge. I think it was on the 3rd floor, and so people just chill out and vibe. And yeah, it's too bad this is turned off, but it's kind of like this really nice ambient. But the idea is that people can throw up their, since it's going to be a 24 by 24, so 1, 2, 3, 4, right? They're going to be able to throw up their CryptoPunks or what have you. And another interesting thing about that is we're going to be helping build out the crowdsourcing tools that DAO House is building. Yeah.
That's awesome. Any other quick questions or comments before we move along?
Super dope project. I wish I was in that makerspace. By the way, I put something in I put a link in the chat for IRL Arts Luminade exhibit, which is also during MCon. Maybe some of the makers at the makerspace would be interested in applying. It's like a chance for them to show their work during MCon week. It's in Denver. So I put that link in there.
Thank you. Yeah, we applied to Luminon already, so see how that goes. And then this spot right here, the one that was at the Solarpunk exhibit, the Solarpunk exhibit was IRL art, doing good, Gitcoin. So this was, yeah,
Sweet.
part of the IRL
Sweet.
thing. Yeah. And I think this is supposed to go to their gallery. So I might actually leave in Denver as I head on so we can actually be where it's supposed to. I kind of stole it. Was using it for pictures and stuff, but yeah.
Cool.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Kyle. It's great to hear about. We have about 10 minutes left, so I'm going to dive really quickly into some updates. So really quickly, the most exciting stuff recently within Panvala was NFT NYC. Again, not the main conference itself, but the week of events that kind of unrolled around that. So DAO NYC was an event where lots of people in the DAO space came together, and I gave a talk on DAOs for basically social impact. I think there's a video of that's going to come up eventually, so we'll share that when that happens. Also, a couple of panels that I moderated while there. And Global Unity is this network of basically people trying to shape a better world that got more deeply connected to in person. They've had a couple of virtual sort of connection events, but got to hang out with some of those same people in person, and that's definitely a good crowd. One of Panvala's communities actually put on a event party called Digital Dream using the Activities Fund. So again, the Activities Fund is designed to help people within Panvala throw more events and support what's going on there. So that event went well, got to attend in person and meet the people from Future Modern, so that was great. And then Margaret was also on a panel for NFTs for impact. Again, the stamp NFTs that we do are designed to impact the ways that communities fund themselves. So it was great to see that. And then I gave another talk at Funding the Commons, which I'm going to give you a snippet of, a very short snippet of in a second. But before I do that, the stamps leaderboard, as of right now, I believe, is up there to the right. Again, stamps are the way that Panvala is allocating funds going forward. Really, it's basically trying to shift marketing dollars that companies are putting out there to get customers in the door. Instead of those dollars going to Facebook and Google, we want them to go to communities. Shenanigan right now is the most active community collecting those stamps, and One Hive is pretty close behind. If you want your community to be high up on this list, we want to help you make that happen. Definitely set up a call with us if you're interested in learning more about how to help your community collect stamps and answer any questions about stamps. We want to be there for you to help make that happen. Really quickly, the general kind of flow that these stamps go through to get created is basically a sponsor creates a stamp. They put value into Panvala's endowment for the right to create those stamps. So for the Index Co-op stamp, there's 2,000 of those. They're $3 a piece. So Index Co-op puts $6,000 a pan into the treasury. Once that stamp was available, we put it up on the Panvala website. We told all the communities that this stamp was available to collect. Then people actually went and did the action that Index Co-op was trying to get people to do. They wanted people to sign up in their mailing list, to subscribe to their YouTube channel. So people from Panvala's communities went and did that action. And then claimed the form, claimed the stamp by clicking claim stamp on panvala.com/stamps. You fill out a little bit of information and then you click submit and you get to claim the stamp and select which community you want it to fund. And then lastly, what's going to happen at the end of this month when the resources are released from Panvala's endowment on July 29th, we're going to distribute a pan to be able to actually pay out those stamps that each community collected. So again, Shenanigan is going to get the most value from stamps as things currently stand. And if your community wants to be high up on the leaderboard as well, we want to help you make that happen. And of course, at the end of the day, we want to make sure that each stamp collector has a collectible NFT that they can keep to showcase the work that they did to support their community and have something nice and pretty in their wallets. Each stamp collector gets a redeemed version of the stamp to keep in their wallet forever. So that's what's going on behind the scenes when these stamps get collected. And that's how we're going to shift value from Facebook and Google to communities across our society. Definitely, we want to attend your community's events to be able to show your community more about how these stamps work. So if there's a community call, a Twitter space, something that you do with your community members that you want us to come to be able to help your community collect more stamps, let us know. You can join our Discord using that link there and basically share the information about your next community call. We'll show up and we'll tell people all about how they can collect stamps. And lastly, 4 minutes isn't quite enough to go through the material that I was going to go through, but maybe if anybody has any questions on stamps in general, I'll answer some of those. And then if there are no questions, I'll do a short version, a very short version of the material. But I think Q&A might be the best use of this 4 minutes.
Yeah, maybe we can do another another meeting with the material you were going to do, because that's an interesting presentation. Maybe we can do like a pop-up middle of the month, like town hall part 2, funding the commons.
Yeah, and if all else fails, next month always works too.
I'm curious, did both of these organizations just join recently, Cheerbot and Commons?
They're both recent members of the network, I believe, over the past 2 months.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha. So they haven't had an article written about them yet in the Observer.
I don't believe so, but I'm not sure. Cool. If there are no final questions or comments, I'll give everybody 2 minutes back. Thanks for coming, everybody. Thanks for being part of Panvala. Again, our mission is to empower every community across our society. We want the budget of every community to dramatically increase by redirecting the flow of value away from middlemen like Facebook and Google who are selling our attention. We want to have that value flow directly to your community by collecting stamps. When a company wants more customers, they shouldn't be paying a middleman. They should be funding your community, and stamps are the way we make that happen. The more we can help your community collect stamps, the more our movement succeeds, and the more communities we can show how they can join this movement, the more our movement succeeds. So everything you do that makes that real, everything you do to collect stamps, to show your community how to collect stamps, and to onboard more communities, that's what is going to shift all this value in our economy. That's the lever that we have to make community life really the center of what we do, rather than trying to win an election to solve all our problems or start a company to solve all our problems. Really, it can be the communities we like, doing the things we like, having more resources go there. That's the way out of the problems that we see out there in the world. It's our communities. So looking forward to doing more and more work with you to make that happen. Have a good one, everybody.
Thanks. Bye.